Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm taking the production value down just a little bit because yesterday's video that got posted at 1 a.m. this morning nearly took my computer out because it is a drama queen that can't handle anything. Okay, so today I wanted to do a niche fears tier list with you guys. And most of these are not that niche, but some of them are very niche. So I'm using a tier list from tiermaker.com, but I did rename some of the categories, and I did add quite a few fears. And you can tell which ones that I added because they don't have text over them telling you what they are. I just trust myself to remember, which might be a mistake, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. So let's go through the tiers really quick. First of all, down at the bottom here, we have Doesn't Bother Me, which means I'm not scared of it at all. I don't even think about this. I do it on a regular basis, or I interact with it on a regular basis, or even if I don't, it's not something that comes to mind for me. Next tier up, we have Just a Little Worrying. Like, maybe it makes me a little worried. Third tier, we have Scary if I come in contact with it. This would be like, I don't think about it regularly, but if it were to come up, it would probably scare me a decent amount. Next we have I think about this at night, which seems like it should go near Just a Little Worrying, but you know, when you're at night and you're alone and it's like getting dark out, or it is dark out because you go to bed in the middle of the night, and you're thinking and you're like, oh yeah, that's scary, and then you start to like see it in the corners of your, yeah. Nighttime anxiety is real. And then you have I am actively afraid, which this is something that actively scares me, something that I think about when I think about what I'm scared of, and something that I probably will try to actively avoid. It's like a proper phobia, if you will. Alright, proper phobia. Alright, so, first of all, starting it off very tame here, we have flying. Now, flying doesn't bother me, so, well, I'm going to put it in doesn't bother me. I'm not afraid of flying. I have been on multiple planes in my life, but what does freak me out is, so I did have one experience recently where I was afraid on a plane, but that is mostly because the plane was delayed, it hit some weather, and then it got to the airport, everyone got off, and there was maybe 5-10 minutes, and then we got on and started flying. So I know that they did not, like, service the plane or whatever, all the stuff that they're maybe supposed to do. I don't know what they do to a plane, but they said, we're going to service it before you guys get on, and then they didn't. And then the plane was making awful, scary noises while landing. So that was a scary plane experience. I wouldn't say that I'm afraid of flying, though. So I'm going to say it doesn't bother me, because that is not the part that I'm worried about oh my god, what is going on with my hair today? Jesus, I'm so sorry. This is unprofessional. So I'm going to say doesn't bother me, because the being in the air part is not the part that scares me, and that is what I think flying implies. Next is clowns. And I will say that I'm a classic guy, right? I have seen many clowns in my life, like the Chorus Shrine clowns. I don't have it up anymore, which is a travesty. But I have these like clown trading cards that I got at a parade one time, and they are genuinely terrifying to me. So we're going to put scary if I come in contact, because I don't like think about clowns on a regular basis. But if there's one in a parade or just like out at an event, don't talk to me. You are scary. There's something about it. I don't know. There's something about like the exaggerated makeup makes them look scarier instead of more approachable. So clowns, fix your look. I don't know, take a spot from drag queens. Don't make your face look like it does, because it makes it worse. I don't know. I don't know what it is about clowns that they just freak me out. Next we have, so I have lifts. So this one that I found on the tier list maker has lifts, and I'm just now realizing that I put one on here for elevators because I forgot that British people call elevators lifts. So we're gonna go with that one next. I'm going a little out of order here. It's fine. Lifts. I'm not afraid of elevators. Like, in concept, whatever, an elevator's fine. I would say that I would be afraid of, like, an elevator breaking and falling. So in that sense, I'm a little worried about it. You know? I mean, I feel like everyone is, though. I feel like it's a really normal... I gotta stop filming these right after I eat. I would say that being afraid of an elevator breaking while you're in it is a very normal fear to have. But I will say just a little worrying. Oh, no. I will say it's just a little worrying because, I mean, obviously it is a little bit worrying to me, or else I wouldn't have something clear to say about it. It's not really a niche fear. I think being trapped in an elevator or an elevator breaking down is a very normal fear. That being said, I am gonna... Where's the claustrophobia one on here? Oh, there isn't. Okay, next one. Dentists. The next one on here is dentists. I will clarify. This is going in scary if I come in contact. Because I'm not afraid of the dentist. I am afraid of the orthodontist specifically because I had braces for about 2.5 years, and every orthodontist appointment was the worst appointment of my life because it is so painful, and they don't tell you what's going to happen, and sometimes when they're putting things in or taking things out, it feels like they're going to rip your teeth off, and just the visceral feeling of having something glued to your teeth is so horrifying, and we don't talk about it enough. When I had braces, I had like these metal rings around my molars in the back of my teeth to put rubber bands on to fix my overbite. And when they took my braces off, they ripped the metal rings out, like off of my teeth. It hurt so bad. I ripped those things out of my teeth. My brain told me that they were gonna rip my teeth out. That's how it felt. That's like how painful it was to get, like, it felt like they were about to rip my molars out of my face. And so I don't like the orthodontist. I'm afraid. And that doesn't correlate to me wearing my retainers so that I don't ever have to go back because I have permanent retainers. So what's the point? Anyway, moving on. Ghosts. Ghost is also going to go in scary if I come in contact, but for a very different reason. Because I'm not afraid of ghosts. Like I said, or I implied earlier, I've experienced a lot of ghostly activity. I do believe in ghosts, because I have seen multiple. And maybe that'll be a video. Or you could just go listen to my podcast, AA Podcast, on Spotify, and listen to some of my ghost experiences. But I have so many I could share that maybe I'll make a video about it. If this video gets 5 likes, I'm setting the bar kind of low. If it gets 5 likes, I will make a video about my ghost experiences. I would love to go ghost hunting. Anyway, I am not afraid of ghosts. You know what? No. I'm going to put this in... I think about this I'm going to put this in a little worrying. Because I'm a little bit afraid of ghosts. But often when you come in contact with a ghost, you don't process that it's a ghost until, like, the next morning. So it's not really scary while you're in contact with it. It's like after the fact that you're like, oh, that was weird, wasn't it? But then sometimes it is scary. So I'll put it in a little worrying. Anyway, illness. I'm a little worried about it. Like, I'm comfortably afraid of getting sick. I think the fear of being sick was amplified this year because I was in a musical for the first time, and that's something that people talk about a lot more is like, oh my god, you can't get sick, you can't do it. And then I lost my voice the week of the show. I got it back. Hilariously timed voice crack. I got it back. But like that is a real fear. Sharks. Okay, so I'm not afraid of sharks, like actively. I think I'm gonna go scary if I come in contact, because I probably would be afraid if I came in contact with a large shark. I've actually pet smaller sharks before. Of course, it was in an aquarium, but like I've still come in contact with smaller sharks, and I'm not afraid of them. I actually think a lot of sharks are quite cute. That being said, if I'm out on my board, like in the water, and I see like of course, you don't see it if it's planning to attack you. You don't see a shark until it's too late. However, when I'm out on my board, and I never go that deep, but I live in an area where there are a couple shark sightings a year typically, and the good surfing spots do have where the shark sightings typically are. And of course, I'm always very careful, but it's always something that's kind of in the back of my mind, especially like it's kind of a cloudy day. The water's not super clear when it's that cloudy, and it's cold, and I'm wearing a black wetsuit, obviously, and so like it is something that I'm worried about in passing. So, and I do think I would be very scared if I came in contact with a large shark. Even though I do know how to, like it's kind of easy to redirect a shark, especially if it's just coming up to you in a curious way where you can see, you can just boop the nose and push it away, and then they're really not that interested in eating humans. We're not fatty enough for them to want to eat us, blah, 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 blah. So I'm not actively afraid of sharks. I have an understanding of marine biology, and I know that they don't actively want to attack humans, but there is that, like, healthy amount of fear that it is an animal that could be dangerous to me in the right circumstances. Needles. Doesn't bother me. I inject testosterone every single week of my life. Needles are not something that bother me. It's... I have a tattoo. I have piercings, so needles are not something that's scary to me. Loneliness. Ooh, interesting. I'm going to go doesn't bother me because I am an introvert. I don't mind being alone sometimes. Spiders, a little worried. Like, okay, I'm not afraid of spiders. I read a poem one time that about like a spider from a spider's perspective about how they deserve mercy because the only crime that they've committed by like being in your house the way that people kill spiders in their houses, the only crime they've committed is being alive. That being said, if I have a spider bite and I see a spider, it's on sight. Because, hey, that's rude. Why? No reason to bite me. Like, unless you're going to give me superpowers, don't bite me, obviously. So I try to be empathetic to spiders. I try not to kill them unless there's no other option or it looks like something that could be poisonous. Venomous, I guess. Yeah, venomous. So I'm not actively afraid of spiders. It's just I'm a little worried about them sometimes because I do know that venomous ones can end up on fruit. So I'm a little bit, like, I know how to identify my spiders. It's fine. Snakes. Not afraid of snakes. I think they're really cute. I want one as a pet. Death. We're going to go, I think, about this at night because I'm not actively afraid of dying. I'm not actively afraid of being dead, but I do think about it, I think about death. I think about it. I have a healthy amount of fear around it. I'm not so afraid that I would be like, oh, I want to be immortal. I never want to die. I think when it's time, I'll be ready. And that's something that I'll just be up for, I guess. I don't know. Heights. I'm not actively afraid of heights. I actually sometimes will actively seek out heights. I like being high up. I don't enjoy feeling like I'm gonna fall from a height. So if I'm on like a solid surface, totally chill. Like even if I'm on like a branch of a tree, as long as it is not actively like bouncy or whatever, I'm chill. As soon as I feel like there's a chance I'm gonna fall, get me out of there, dude. That's worst feeling in the world is that like adrenaline poof, from like you fall and you're like, you know. So I don't like those like tower rides. But I do actively like heights and like zip lines and stuff. So thunder and lightning, a little bit worrying. Like I'll get startled by thunder, or if I'm in the water and there's thunder, obviously that's a problem. But I definitely used to be afraid of thunder and lightning when I was a kid. I actually think thunder and lightning can be really cool. One of my first weeks at college, I experienced heat lightning for the first time, and like a dumbass, I walked towards it. Like when I walked towards it like a dumbass. So I'm definitely gonna say I'm not afraid of it. Oh, claustrophobia is on here. I'm just a stupid idiot. Okay, the deep sea. I don't think the deep sea bothers me. I think the deep sea can be really cool. I'm saying I think a whole lot in this video. No, I'm not afraid of the deep sea. I think there are definitely things down there that we cannot conceptualize, but I think that's okay. I think I'm a lot more afraid of space than I am of the ocean. Like, obviously the ocean has like pressure that you can't really go down there, and I think that's because we're not meant to go down there, so I'm not afraid of it because it's not somewhere we can go. And like, but space, but in that way, it's like still a confined space with like outer limits in a way, because the ocean is still on the planet, so it's still like there are boundaries, but space is just boundless. So I think I'm more afraid of space than I am of the sea. Germs. Okay, this one's tough because I'm not germophobic. If somebody's like ill, I have a really strong immune system. I always have. If someone's like ill, I'm not gonna be like, like, I'm gonna stay like a healthy distance away from them. I think I'm very chill about when people are sick. It's not something that I'm like mad at or worried about actively, but I will say I don't enjoy. So we're gonna put germs in like doesn't really bother me, I guess, because it doesn't really bother me, germs. Although I will put it in just a little worrying because like grime and like the idea of like gross surfaces freaks me out, so I guess that could come back to like a germophobia in a way. But like a gross table or something, it bugs me a lot more than like a sick person. But just, it's more of like the texture of it, so I'm going to put it in a little worrying. Holes. Am I afraid of holes? No, I don't think I'm afraid of holes. I don't have tryptophobia. I don't. Sorry, this is a really boring one. So, actually, this next one is one that I saw on a Reddit thread. I went through a Reddit thread of like niche fears. Masks. So, like, specifically, like, not like COVID masks, like performance masks, like the Venetian, like Mardi Gras masks and stuff. Like, I guess for the anonymity of somebody, and I will say that purge masks freak me out a little bit. I was having a Halloween party in my backyard a couple years ago, and somebody was trick-or-treating in the neighborhood, and they had like a bunny mask, and they were just like really creepily walking. And they walked by like a couple times, and it was actually genuinely terrifying. So I'm going to put it in scary if I come in contact, because that is something that is kind of, masks do freak me out sometimes. Insomnia. I'm going to say I think about this at night, because I have suffered with like short-term insomnia where like I'll have one bad night of sleep and it leads to like a night of no sleep, and then that day where I've had no sleep, I'm like really anxious and freaked out that I'm not going to be able to go to sleep the next night, because not being able to sleep just like makes you feel awful. Anyway, this next one is very niche. It's specifically not deer, which I don't know if it's an official cryptid, but not deer, which is it's kind of a cryptid. It's like a deer that doesn't quite look right. I think generally, though, just like animals that look a little off, specifically like in the woods at night. I'm gonna put I think about this at night because that's when you see animals like that most of the time. I do think about like off-putting animals sometimes at night. I think I'm a little bit spooked. Um, this next one is very silly and very specific to me, and it's going into I'm actively afraid. And this is something I'm not that ashamed to admit. Um, I have an active fear of being attacked by birds. I'm like always a little bit afraid of birds, because they feel so much more unpredictable than other animals that humans interact with. Like a mammal, like I know generally what I would do if like a animal charged me, like a mammal, because they look normal. They're a quadruped, but like birds can fly. Like they have a whole nother plane of existence that we can't even touch. Okay, and I've also been charged by a rooster before, and it freaked me out. I've had a bird eat the gem out of my earring before. Yeah, I don't love birds. They freak me out. Next one, monsters. I'm not afraid of monsters. What am I, 5? No. Come on now. Come on. The next one is like claustrophobia or confined spaces. I don't think I'm claustrophobic. I'm not. Okay, so I'm gonna put it in doesn't bother me because I'm not afraid of confined spaces. I'm just overstimulated by like enclosed spaces with a lot of people. So I think for me it's very situational to like the noise level and the amount of people and what the space is. Um, this next one, vomit. I think it's just a little worrying. Like, it just kind of grosses me out. It's like icky. In the same way that like a lot of horror movies aren't scary, they're just kind of like, oh, why would you do that? Or like Trails of Terror are just kind of like gory. I'm like gore doesn't freak me out. It just kind of it icks me out a little bit. The next one is the Uncanny Valley, and I do think about the Uncanny Valley at night. I think the Mandela Catalog uh, really kind of freaked me out when I first saw it. Like when I first learned about alternates and stuff. I gotta stop saying I think. When I first learned about the Mandela Catalog, it really freaked me out. Like I would actively think about it at night and like almost have a nightmare about it. And I have had a nightmare about like Uncanny Valley alternate type things before. Just because the idea of like a clone of me existing is freaky, especially one that's like malicious. Um, yeah, I don't like the Uncanny Valley. It freaks me out. Okay, this next one is from the Reddit thread again, and it's, how do I describe this? So it is the active fear that somebody is reading your mind. Uh, or that somebody could be reading your mind and reading your intrusive thoughts at any given time. I think that's a very relatable experience for me. I'm going to put it in. Ooh, where do I want to put this? I think I'll put it in actively afraid. Okay, so like sometimes you're having a little think and you're like, oh god, I hope no one can read my mind right now. So I would think that that is an active fear that's always like could be activated at any time. So I'll put it in S tier because that would be strange. That would be really freaky if someone could read my mind. If anyone can read my mind, just don't tell me. Let me live in my blissful ignorance because I don't need that. Okay, the next one is the fear of blood. I'm not afraid of blood, actually. It doesn't bother me at all. I thought about going into the medical field because I have no aversion to things like that. And also, I think I'd just be really good at it. But yippee, I'm not afraid of blood. Fish. I'm a little bit afraid of fish. Like, in a way that if I'm swimming and I see one swimming near me, I will feel uncomfortable and like I want to get out of the water. Or if I have been swimming and I see one, then it'll stop me from wanting to go back in the water, like especially a big fish. I don't know what I'm afraid of exactly. I just don't like the feeling of scales, I think. And I'm a little bit afraid that it'll try to eat me, I guess, even if it's just like a trout. It's so silly. It's so silly. The next one is strange. Okay. Um, it's going in actively afraid because there's another one that I added. Hearing loss. I am afraid of hearing loss. Uh, Not other people's hearing loss. I'm afraid of losing my own hearing. So I already have like an audio processing disorder, which means that I either don't hear or don't comprehend messages the first time often, more often when I'm tired, which makes me a little bit paranoid that I'm losing my hearing, which is something that I need as a hearing person. I need my hearing, especially because in the future, I want my job to be like an audio technician, like mixing audio, making soundtracks, all that. And I know Beethoven. Beethoven? Yeah, Beethoven. I know Beethoven was deaf, but listen, there's nothing wrong with being deaf. It's like I'm not I'm not saying that being deaf or being hard of hearing would be the worst thing in the world, obviously. I'm not saying that. I'm just the fear of losing something that I once had is very scary to me. So like the fear of being like fine and having like full functioning something and then being able to watch it degrade over time is very scary to me. Like watching and being aware of the degradation of that ability is very scary to me. It more. And then you can like remember what it used to be like to be able to hear and then you can't anymore is, I think, worse than just being deaf the whole time because then you don't know what you're missing almost. Okay, that's a thing to say for sure. Wow. Fear of teenagers or adolescents. I think I'm a little bit of like I'm a little bit afraid of teenagers. Like as somebody who is technically in their teens still, um, if I come in contact with like a middle schooler or early high schooler, I'm very afraid of being judged always. Like I don't know how to interact with people my own age unless they're my friends. Like I don't understand how to interact with my peers. Um, so with that, here is the fears tier list. As you can see, I'm a very strong man who's not afraid of a lot of things. And yeah, come back tomorrow for a super awesome video where I face all of these fears head on. Bye.